Welcome to Card Players The Circuit, hosted by your favorite set, Scott Huff, Gavin Smith, and Joe Sebok.
That's right, everybody. You're listening to Card Players radio program, The Circuit. We are broadcasting on Sports Byline Radio on Sirius Channel 122 on cardplayer.com and on the iTunes Music Store as a podcast. Scott Huff, Gavin Smith, and Joe Sebok from the Bellagio in Las Vegas, Nevada. How's it going, gentlemen? Good evening.
Super fabulous.
I just want to say my boy, Caveman over here, is tearing up the horse. It's getting ugly what he's doing to the field.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Although, in another point on the horse, it was pretty unbelievable. I don't know if you saw the bear yesterday. It was down to 6,000 chips.
Yeah.
He ran that shit all the way up to like 105 at one point.
Yeah.
I mean, that's strong. That is strong.
Yeah.
The man is a beast. The man is a beast.
We have a great show for
even
everyone
after
today.
hitting his head on a rock.
Even after
heard he's hit his
tripping
head.
on a rock.
We have a great show for everybody today. We have Hand of the Day, phone calls. Get those in by 6 p.m. Pacific each night. We have emails and Russ Dutch Boyd on the program. We're going to be talking about a variety of topics. You are not going to want to miss this interview, so make sure you stick around to hear it. One thing about Bellagio, I don't know if anyone knows this, but the Bellagio Cup 2, starting up on July 24th through August 10th, there are going to be a series of $1,000 events as well as a $10,000 event after the first couple days of the World Series are over. So if you bust, come down to the Bellagio and play.
Are you going to play in the 10,000 if you bust out of the main event?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too, probably. Probably.
We are
unless, of course, you're still in the main event and I lose the bet.
Right. Then
if I lose the bet and you're still in the main event, I guess I cannot play the 10,000.
Right. You have to rail me. That's true.
It should be a great event. I'm assuming it'll be double stacked like all their tournaments, so it should be a
I don't know if it's WPT sponsored though.
No, it's
doesn't
not.
matter.
It's the Bellagio Cup.
Right.
Bellagio will do it double stack.
Yeah, you're right.
Absolutely.
Ooh-ah.
So, Gavin, let's talk about this $50,000 horse event. You are still alive. Tell us what's been going on today. Not only are you alive, you are kicking in sixth place.
Yeah, I was doing pretty good there for a while today, and I got it up to about 100. And then I had a setback when our good friend TJ Kluche thought that I would bet less than 2 4s on a King 7 deuce board into 4 people. So he ripped with his 4s, and of course he hit a 4 and spiked it. So that took me down to about 45,000. And I went back after the last break, and I scooped. I played really aggressively in the Hold'em and did well. Then I scooped a bunch of pots in Omaha, and now I'm at about 280,000, and I'm feeling real good.
Absolutely, you must. Ivy's right behind you, right, or is he right ahead of you?
I have no idea. I really don't know the chip count. I'm at a very tough table, but we're the next table to break. Our table, we have Victor Random with a ton of chips.
With a Bushneffley billion chips.
Bushneffley billion chips.
Right.
We have TJ Kluche, we have Howard Lederer, we have Jennifer Harmon, we have Josh Aryeh, and we have I'm sure the other one's real good too. Mike Sexton. Sorry, Mike.
Mike, another friend of the circuit, and you're forgetting him. So it's sort of shaping up the way everyone thought. Obviously, there were a ton of big names entering, so there are going to be a ton of big names left. Have any of this, do you know, and I don't have any research on this at the moment, but do we know if any of the people who, I know the first person to bust was a person who satellited in. Arturo Diaz was the first one to bust. Yeah, he was.
No, but he's not a satellite guy.
He was a satellite guy.
Arturo Diaz plays big limit.
I know, but I was told he was one of the people who won a satellite.
Oh, he did
win a satellite. I know he's a good player. I'm not putting the knock on, but he did satellite his way in.
And the second person to bust was last night's guest, Lane Flack.
Oh, you're right. It was Lane.
So have any of the qualifiers, are any of them still alive? Or
I don't even know who
just
the
only
qualifiers
faces that you know left?
Mostly faces, Yeah.
Right.
It's a tough field. There's a lot of great players left, and it's going to be cool. But I'm excited because we're down to like less than 56 people. We're down to 7 tables, and so we're getting down to the nitty gritty where people, and it's a big bubble this time because it's 137,000 if you make the top 18.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And 0 for 19th. So I mean, it's going to be, if you have chips in that area, you're really going to be able to apply some pressure, which would be fun. And I mean, if I can get to this final table, God forbid, now I don't have to worry about the fact that I don't know how to play any of these damn games, and we can go back to no limit hold'em.
Wow, that's true.
We're back into my comfort zone instead of some of these guys' comfort zone. So I mean, I'm like super excited about that possibility.
What's the atmosphere like down there right now? Is it still very excited and fun?
It's electric, man. There's so many people there. You can't go to the bathroom without having to sign like 15 autographs and take pictures and stuff. there's just a lot of fans. It's really cool.
What about inside the ropes? Is everyone still enjoying the fact they got their 50,000 horse event? The biggest names are there. What's it feel like inside the ropes?
There's a bunch of things that have gone wrong, and I mean, the structure is still very poor right now. They're turning it into a bit of a gamble fest, and it's going to get crazy. It's going to get crazy tonight. A lot of these guys are predicting it's going to take till 9 a.m. to get to the final table. I bet it would be sooner than 6, but it's going to be tight.
Did you place any real wager on that?
I bet 1,000 on it, yeah.
Wow. Strong. Well, congratulations for continuing to be successful here. We're going to be watching you all night long, that's for sure.
Oh, hey, by the way, if you see Howard, get my 1,000 for you.
No, I won't do that.
Why?
Because I don't collect other people's debts.
But I owe you money. So
but you're bigger than him.
So you can pay me, and you can go to Howard and get your own money.
All right. I was just trying to cut out the middleman.
You're kind of a bruiser,
get you your
though.
1,000. That's all.
No, you were trying to cut out the middleman and not have to do any work yourself. That's what you were trying to do.
And get you your money.
Yeah.
Guys, I just want to point something out, though. If I had to pick between you and Joe to collect my debts, it's kind of like Ooga Booga a little bit, and I'd probably choose you to collect my debts before Joe. So, Sebok, I don't want to make you tell a bad beat story, but why don't we...
No. I'm not going to tell a bad beat story.
Well, at least say what happened today. And
no, nothing happened. I got another great shot to make some points on Gavin. But, I had a bad beat. Who cares? Big deal in the first round. So I never even got chips to accumulate, so it wasn't really that big of a deal.
With any luck at all, you'll get another shot tomorrow.
Yeah, so it's all good,
$2,000 no limit tomorrow.
Yeah, $2,000 no limit. Yeah, so I'll get another shot, and we'll see. I'm happy with how I'm playing. I'm not upset at all,
Right. So you don't want me to recount the hand either?
No. I don't want to tell anymore. I already told too many bad beat stories during the World Series. No more.
Booga, booga.
We'll skip it. Well, now it's time for World Series of Poker news. World Series of Poker news. Reaching into the muck so you don't have to.
The mucky muck.
Start with our player of the day today. I'm assuming this is someone you both know quite a bit about. And you just brought him up. A world champion, TJ Cloutier. World champion poker player. What do you know about him, Gavin? You said you just played a pot with him, so here we go.
TJ's been around a long time.
Gavin's not a fan of this segment.
No, it's not even the segment. I mean, I've told you before that I'm not gonna just rag somebody's game if I don't particularly like it or have much good to say about it. So I'm not gonna do that. TJ's been around a long time. Next.
Wow. So I'm assuming that means you don't have a lot nice to say about TJ's game. Is that what you're saying?
I think TJ played very well back in the day. I don't think TJ's kept up.
All right. Sebok?
Yeah. I mean, I think if anything, it's just he plays a little bit of the old school style. But, I haven't played with TJ a ton. I played with him enough. He bluffed the shit out of me in the WPT championship, which was pretty ugly. But
Why don't you tell us about the hand?
No, I mean, there wasn't much to tell. I actually forced him into the bluff by betting the incorrect amount. All that was there was 2 limpers. He raised on the button. I knew it was a steal, and I had ace-jack in the small blind. So I re-raised him. Unfortunately, I didn't re-raise him enough, so I basically forced him to call. I priced him into the hand where he almost couldn't fold. And then the flop came all rags, and I bet out. He made a big raise on me, probably putting me on ace king, which is, I had a weaker hand than ace king, but something like that. And it was basically calling off my whole tournament, and I decided to fold, even though it was a pretty big pot. And he showed me ace 10, so I read the hand perfectly. I just played it badly enough that I forced TJ to be able to take it away from him.
Well, the funny thing is when he showed you that, I would bet a bunch of money.
Mm-hmm.
He thought he was showing you the best hand.
He may have. I mean, he's silly if he thinks that I would, re-steal on 2 limbers and his steal from the small blind with absolutely not. I mean, I just knew ace-jack was garbage. I mean, that's not a good hand. I just knew he was stealing. So, but again, unfortunately, I made him call. I can't fold him. I mean, I didn't raise enough, mathematically speaking, that he could fold. So, I kind of gave it to him. If I had raised, I'm sure he would have been forced to lay it down. So I kind of play the hand pretty poorly in my estimation.
Well, since I enjoy beating dead horses, though, I mean, TJ did win the $5,000 buy-in no limit event at last year's World Series. When you say that he hasn't quite kept up, obviously he's still capable of winning a tournament. So when you say he hasn't kept up, meaning exactly what? I mean, he did take down a big tournament. That was almost $700,000 last year. Just to play devil's advocate here.
Right. Well, I think you can run TJ over if you want to. I mean, I think not everyone can, but I think if you're aggressive enough and and you're willing to throw caution to the wind, you can do it. which is basically what I was trying to do with that particular hand we just discussed. I just didn't do it well. I didn't play it well enough. So I think, I don't want to speak for Caveman, but I think that might be what he's talking about. Just the aggression level, the understanding that
we've already gone through this before, though, Scott. That because you win a tournament doesn't mean that you've played great poker.
Right.
My goodness, when I was in the small blind, absolutely committed to going all in that very final table, TJ from under the gun raised 10-8. Okay, is that good poker when you know the guy's committed and you have a worse than random hand? Come on, it's ridiculous. So happened everybody folded. It so happened I had 10-7 in the big blind, and he looks like a genius.
Right.
But come on, it's an idiotic play. It worked out real well. Good for him. Come on.
All right, well, our $1,000 no limit came to a close last night. John Friedberg took first place, $526,185. Unfortunately, runner-up was John Fan, $289,000.
Sometimes Kid gets so close to win bracelet, man.
No, John's favorite thing to say.
All you can do, Scott, you give 110%. You try your best. You get out there, you gamble. You do something like win coin flip. Okay, you know what I'm saying?
So, John, we still congratulate. John looked pretty happy today.
Right. I also wanted to point out that he was the extreme short stack with 3 left. So the kid fought back. He came up. Yeah. He even eventually busted someone. So
John Fann's the man.
To his credit.
John Fan, you're listening to cardplayer.com, The Circus.
The Circus. If you want to see the juggling acrobats, listen to The Circuit. So I just wanted to say, John, he played really well, and you can't always win the tournament. He fought back and did basically everything that he could. So I'm really proud of him.
Props to Fan.
Second.
Yes, let's give some props to John Fan.
Props.
All right, the $2,000 pot limit. Eric Kesselman won that one, $311,403. The only other notable, James McManus, 6th place. I love James McManus, also a friend of the circuit. He's been on here. Look for his book, forthcoming, A History of Poker. I'm pretty excited for that one. Yeah. All right, the $50,000 horse event we've already really talked about. So the $1,000 seniors event, the chip leader last time we checked was Jake Wells with $90,000. Now it's time for our hand of the day.
Nice hand, sir.
This hand is an Omaha 8 or better hand for today's $50,000 horse. Josh Aryeh raises under the gun and Gavin Smith calls. Gus Hansen also calls from the big blind, and the flop comes 10-8 deuce with 2 spades. Hansen bets, Aryeh raises, and Smith and Hansen both call. The turn puts the queen of clubs on board, and again Hansen bets, Aryeh raises, and Smith calls. Hansen then re-raises 5,500, and Aryeh comes over the top. Hansen re-raises for 5,500 and all in, and Aryeh re-raises and Smith calls. The river brings the 5 of spades. Aryeh checks, and Smith bets. Hansen flips over the queen of spades, jack of diamonds. Aryeh calls, correct. Mm-hmm. Hansen flips over the queen of spades, jack of diamonds, 10 of diamonds, 9 of spades for a queen high flush with no qualifying low, and Smith shows king of spades, 4 of spades, 3 of hearts, deuce of hearts for a king high flush, and an 8-5-4-3-2 low. Aryeh mucks, and I guess Hansen looked at the board for a minute, shuffling his hand on the table, and then finally he mucked it and was eliminated. That was a huge pot for you, Gavin. Obviously, it pumped you up quite a bit.
Yeah,
what happened in that hand?
It was a big pot. Well, you just read it. That's what happened. I called with deuce 3-4 king double suited, to see what's going to happen. I got a pretty good flop because one of the hands Josh will raise with is obviously ace deuce. The only way I'm screwed with that flop is if Josh actually has ace 3 and the ace high flush draw. That's really unlikely. And there's, it's far more likely that I'm going to have a really good scoop potential. And then the pot just got big. Gus decided to play his hand crazy. Josh decided to overplay his hand a bit probably, and the pot got big. So then you're just in there. You're sort of on the installment plan, calling a lot of bets, and I hit my joker on the river.
Right, I think it's important to say all of the horse events are limited. I don't know if anyone knows that at home, So it's really you can't. It's very, very, very difficult to push people out of pots or anything like that. So where Josh probably would have liked to have just moved all in and played against Gus, he didn't have that option. So Gavin's certainly going to just keep calling the 1 bet, the 2 bet.
There's just too good a chance to that the 3-4 is good. He's the 3-4 low. Once that deuce comes, it counterfeits a lot of lows, and there's just a really good chance. I'm pretty sure Gus doesn't have a better low draw than me because he would have probably re-raised pre-flop if he had ace 3 or something. I just thought that there was enough equity in there for me to go for this hand, and when I got it, it paid off pretty sweet.
And where exactly did you start playing Omaha? Did you play that a lot, cash games, before you started playing tournaments?
No.
Where'd you learn Omaha?
Yeah.
And there?
Yesterday.
Just here and there. Yeah, just sort of taught myself.
The self-taught caveman.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you would like to follow hands like this, we have exclusive coverage of the World Series of Poker on cardplayer.com. We'll be working 25 hours a day, 8 days a week to bring you all of the best from this year's World Series of Poker. Each and every day of the World Series, Card Player will be working tirelessly to bring you chip counts, live updates, tournament news, and hand-by-hand action. If you've yet to check out the new site, take a look now at www.cardplayer.com.
That's a lot of days and hours. I feel like that adds up to more than
that is physically
humanly
possible.
Maybe it's fuzzy math. I don't know. It seems weird.
Yeah. Well, you were like Mr. Math yesterday. Gavin was all over you about your mathematics. Yeah. Go back and have a listen.
What were we arguing about?
I don't remember exactly, but I felt like you were counting on an abacus and he was like the human calculator.
Really?
So,
Really?
All right, we'll be right back after this with phone calls for us on the circuit. Pacific Poker is proud to announce our new multi-hand feature. Now you can double, triple, even quadruple the fun when you play at up to 3 ring games and 2 tournaments simultaneously. This significantly increases the winning chances of your referred players and intensifies that fast-paced poker action. What do you think about that, Sebok?
Hey. Hi, this is David Singer, and you're listening to cardplayer.com's The Circuit.
Welcome back to the circuit, everyone. We are broadcasting on Sports Byline Radio on Sirius Channel 122, on cardplayer.com, and on the iTunes Music Store as a podcast. Scott Huff and Joe Sebok. Where'd the caveman go, Joe?
He had to run to the Buschnefli-Gerschnoflen huge event, the 50,000 horse. We kept him later than we even wanted to, but we sent him on his way. We got him. Wilma came to pick him up in the Flintstone mobile.
All right, phone calls for us right now, Dan.
He's a runner. He's a runner.
What's up, guys? My name is Jay from New Jersey, and my question sucks because it's about taxes. I recently had my first significant cash in a daily tournament in Atlantic City, and they took the money for the taxes right out of my winnings there on the spot in the casino. How does the process of taxing winnings go at the big tournaments in Vegas? Like, if you were to win a first place for, say, $1 million, how much of that money would you actually take home? And doesn't the missing money that goes to taxes kill your equity in the tournament? Thanks for taking my question, and I think Joe Sebok rocks no matter what the haters say.
Oh, nice. Gavin, pipe down. Jay, well, your question does suck because it's taxes, and nobody wants to talk about that. But the answer is every tournament that I've actually won anything in, they do not take the taxes out. You're actually responsible to do that at the end of the year. Sort of like when you work as a contractor, which is what I used to do. You just tally up your hours, tally up all the money you make, and then use the table and actually take out the taxes yourself. So my guess is if they took your taxes out, you would treat that just as you would with your job. You probably got a W-2 or whatever form they're going to issue you there, and then you just count that as subtracted earnings, and you just roll like that. So I think it should be pretty easy. I'm not sure if you have an accountant, but he certainly would know, and if not, I'm sure you can figure it out when taxes roll around, brother.
Check out www.financialace.com. Maybe Steve Daneman can do your taxes after this. Yeah. Dutch Boyd on the circuit.
How come I get punked instead of Sebok?
I'm Chris Ferguson, and I've got a question. You've got pocket tens. How should you play them? Now imagine you're sitting across from me. Does this change your decision? Learning from the best changes the way you play. It makes you better, smarter, more consistent. It's what sets Full Tilt Poker apart from other online poker sites. Full Tilt Poker was designed by the world's best poker pros, including players like me, Phil Ivey, Howard Lederer, and Jennifer Harmon. So when you're ready to take your game to the next level, come learn, chat, and play with the pros at FullTiltPoker.com.
Welcome back to the circuit, everyone. Our guest today just took down his first bracelet last week, winning the $2,500 no-limit shorthanded event at the 2006 World Series of Poker, $475,000 for his win. But he is perhaps most famous for his association with the crew and his 12th place finish in the 2003 World Series of Poker. Dutch Boyd, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. How you doing, Scott?
Good. What's up, Dutch? Thanks for coming on the show. We're definitely going to get to your bracelet win, but what we're going to start out with, I'd like to ask you about PokerSpot.com. If you can tell people what went down there.
Well, a couple years ago, I guess it was right around 98, me and my little brother, Bobby, decided that, you know what, there's a little bit of a future in this whole online poker thing. So we started a card room. We borrowed $80,000 from friends and family. He programmed the software. I put our servers down in Costa Rica, and we went live, I think, March of 2000, maybe. Mm-hmm. right after Paradise. And that was it was a struggle. We didn't really have any business doing it. You know, we were 18 and 17 years old. But we were doing pretty well. We were starting to get some pretty good market share when we were the first to launch online poker tournaments back in September of 2000. Then, unfortunately, we started running into some problems with some of the credit card processors. You know, a lot of people don't remember, but back then there was no FirePay, there was no NetTeller, there wasn't even PayPal yet. There were just a whole bunch of random offshore credit card processors who were going to allow people to deposit money into into some account. And so there were a lot of those credit card processors that went down because of fraud. A lot of people were trying to target online casinos and online sports books. And then when online poker came around, it was the perfect target because you could deposit a whole bunch of money into with a fraudulent credit card and then lose it to like a whole table. And then you have this operator standing back, scratching his head, wondering which of the 5 people who walked away with $100,000 in credit card deposits was the one who actually won it and who was just dumping chips to themselves. So that was a struggle, but we were still doing fine because we were raking so much money. The credit card fraud wasn't hurting us. What did hurt us is when the credit card processors would go down. That happened twice. The first time, there was a little company from Australia called ePayment Solutions.
I guess I don't mean to interrupt. I'm a little. What do you mean with the credit card processors going down? Well, I don't know what that means exactly.
It means that they disappeared. It happened all the time in the early days of internet gambling.
Oh, like basically, like they would rake the money and then just disappear and just take off with the money.
That's right.
Okay, I gotcha. Okay.
So we had 2 credit card processors. One was called ePayment Solutions, and one was called NetPro. And they both disappeared, like one right after another. One went down in August, and we kind of bounced back. Got back to doing fine and healthy. And then we had our best month ever in like January 2001. I think we were raking in like $160,000 a month, in these tournaments, but we had $500,000 in deposits.
Right.
And so when the second credit card processor disappeared, we were left holding the bag. And that's the PokerSpot story. We sold PokerSpot later that year to an online casino that was trying to get into poker, and they have since. Mm-hmm. And we moved up to Montreal, worked for this online casino, and signed a deal with them to purchase the software, purchase all the assets like the user list and whatnot. And a big part of that deal was paying back all the players who had money on deposit.
Right.
After 4 months, they decided that it would be cheaper just to keep our lead developer in our software.
Really?
And so it goes. Bobby and I, my little brother Bobby, we went back to Missouri, penniless. I mean, I didn't even have $100.
Right.
I went into my garage, found some old Magic cards and some D&D shit, pawned it off on eBay, and started playing the 3-6 game on Paradise Poker again.
Right. Well, it sounds like, and you brought up, the whole concept of paying people back, and I think that's probably what most people, are interested about, because I know that in some of the interviews you did immediately after that, you were talking about how you were planning to pay people back. So is that
well,
still
actually, I have paid a few people back. Not a lot of them. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was probably about $300,000 in player deposits that just disappeared, and I've never had a bankroll over $100,000.
Right.
I mean, even with this one, it sounds like a lot, but when you factor in backers and makeup, and I wasn't playing for that big of a percentage of myself anyway.
Yeah.
I still don't have a bankroll over $100,000. But when I can, I try to do what I try to do what I can.
Right. Well, that's cool. So at this point, you're definitely trying to pay people back. It sounds like, certainly.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the problem is it's such an old debt, and so many of them, only had $50 or $60 in there. Right. It's hard to even figure out who was owed money. So it's kind of hard to be able to say, yeah, I'm going to try to pay everybody back. I'm not even sure if that's possible at this point.
Right.
But I'm doing what I can. I'm definitely not hiding. I plan on being in poker for a long time.
Right.
And I can relate. Because I was a low limit grinder online too, and it would have devastated my world if some punk kid, opened some site and all of a sudden my $2,000 bankroll is gone.
Right.
I'd be screwed. I'd have to go find some other stuff in the garage.
Right.
But that's that. Everyone is so vocal about any sort of trash that they can find about anybody who's famous.
Oh, of course.
It doesn't matter what it is. If you have skeletons in your closet, it comes out. What people aren't too vocal about, though, is the fact that nobody lost as much money on PokerSpot as I've lost to the rake in the last year.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people taking advantage of poker players right now. And it sucks that I'm lumped in that group and even put at the top of that group because of a couple 100,000. And it sucks, but that's life and that's business. And I don't think that it has happened before. There were a lot of online poker sites that went down. Nobody, everyone just disappeared. And with the exception of Highlands Club that Doyle Brunson was involved with,
right.
They disappeared, and Doyle went into his own pocket to pay everybody back. Other than that, I don't think any of these other online sites that just disappeared overnight have ever, stood up and said, yeah, listen, I'm here, and if you have a problem with what happened, we'll try to help you out. We'll try to fix it.
So you're saying you have gone into your pocket a few times to help pay back, but you're not sure how much longer are you going to continue to do that? Are you going to do it until, let's say, the 400,000 quote?
I think what I'm going to do, honestly, is dig through the records, see what I can find, and then put out a press release and say, whoever wants to get paid back, they have to claim their what they had and send in their ID by X and X time, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
At some point in the near future, I plan to just close that chapter.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, it's not something I really want to focus on until the end of the World Series. And at that point, if I decide to go for Player of the Year, then it's not something I really want to even think about until January.
Right.
Well, World Series obviously starting off. First of all, we appreciate you, manning up here and coming on the show and talking about it.
Manning up, I like that, Scott. I can man up.
There you go. So obviously, the World Series going great for you, as you said. You don't want to think about things till after the World Series. A good way to start it off is winning the $2,500 shorthanded event, and also in the process defeating the reigning world champion. Heads up. Why don't you talk a little bit about your road to victory there?
Wow. I mean, I don't even know really what to say about it. If I was gonna script out like the perfect start to the World Series or the perfect end, I don't know, whatever you want to look at it. I mean, that was almost cinematic. It was like a weird dream. I'm sitting there, ESPN's all around, and I'm heads up with a chip lead against Joe Hatcham. This is the kind of stuff that people actually have dreams about.
Right.
And here I am living it. It was very surreal. And I don't really know how to explain it except that it was a miracle.
Actually, I have a quick question. Does the bracelet mean anymore? And of course, it wasn't the main event, but I'm sure it kind of reminded me of the Dan Marino complex where he immediately started playing football, made the Super Bowl. It kind of reminded me of you. You jumped into poker. All of a sudden, the main event, ESPN was all over you. And now a couple years have gone by. Obviously, you've gone through a lot of things, and now you want a bracelet. Do you feel like you appreciate it more now than maybe if you'd won it a couple years ago when you were a little younger?
Yes, absolutely, Joe.
Right.
I mean, I think that a big problem with a lot of the younger players who are in the game today is that they meet with success too quickly, and it's very hard to know how to handle that. And when you miss your shot a couple of times and you see some of your best friends make theirs, and see what they do right, and more importantly, see what they do wrong.
Right.
You can adjust a lot better when it happens to you and when it is your day. And so I do feel like it was better for me on a personal level to have to wait a few years and put some more time in. And it wasn't just like I was clean on the poker scene in 2003. I mean, I'd paid my dues before that.
Oh, yeah. No, of course. I didn't mean to imply that, you jumped. I know you've been playing for a time before that, but certainly you gained prominence all of a sudden, at that main event.
No, I think it sounded like you implied that.
Yeah, it's just like a genie. You poofed onto the scene.
So how was it playing Joe heads up? What did you think of Joe's heads up game?
Well, I definitely think that I had a lot more heads up experience than Joe. I mean, he was a very, very solid player throughout that tournament. I do feel like he got pretty lucky to even be at the final table. I mean, when we were getting down to about 3 and 4 tables, it seemed like every time they announced a player was all in, I turned around and Joe was standing up.
Yeah,
and he was in so many all in situations in that tournament. It was just sick. But eventually, I knew that the all-in situations would have to catch up with him. You can only run aces against kings so many times before you can they finally don't hold up.
Right.
And then you go home and you talk about your bad beat. But I mean, come on, buddy, it wasn't really a bad beat. They held up 3 times before.
Right. So that's perfectly with the odds, right?
And you're looking at like ace king versus ace 5, or what was the?
Yeah, it was ace 5, I believe. Wasn't it?
He had ace queen, 5, I think. Yeah. I mean, that was a bad beat, but I had them all in 4 times at the final table. And eventually, one of those all-ins were going to catch up to him. So I think that one thing I think it was pretty interesting was Sean Rice came up to me during that tournament, and he said, of all the people here at the final table, expect Joe to play very, very, very solid ABC poker, because he has a lot to prove, and this is going to be a televised tournament, and he doesn't want everyone in the world thinking he's a donkey. Right. He's going to be coming in with premium hands, and and Sean was right, dead on when he said that, because that's exactly what happened. I don't think I ever saw Hatcham come in with the kind of crap hands that Negrani would come in with, for example. And nothing to detract away from Negrani's play, because obviously results speak for themselves, and he's definitely one of the best no-limit tournament players to ever grace our game. Right. Whereas Joe Hatcham is solid, and he's a great player. But I don't think that you can't win tournaments, especially when it gets heads up, just by playing premium hands, and that seemed like all he was doing.
Right, I was going to say, even beyond that, you can't. It's hard to even just keep moving down to the 5-person, 4-person, 3-person, and continue to play that tight game, and actually be able to be successful at that point, let alone heads up.
How well does it even work at 6-handed? I mean, you're already playing a short-handed,
right? Already from the get-go.
So that has to make it. Can we get a quick primer sort of on short-handed play?
Here's the thing. I mean, 6-handed no limit hold'em has a lot more in common with 10-handed no limit hold'em than it does heads up no limit hold'em. When you have 6 players at the table, you still have enough people to keep anybody from getting too out of line. But the truth is, it's not about cards at all. I mean, and when you're sitting there with at 6-handed no limit hold'em, that point is even more important, because there's lots of times where, you don't really even need to look at your cards a lot of the times. If you know some guy's weak and he raises pre-flop and you re-raise, it doesn't matter if you have queen 5 or pocket kings. You're going to be able to take the pot. And it's even sweeter when you do have pocket kings, and he doesn't give up right away. But Hold'em's a tough game, because you don't get a lot of premium cards, and then when you do, you miss the flop most of the time. Yeah, so, sure. Most of the time, the hand that's going to take it down isn't necessarily the best hand. It's just that, who's going to take it down is the guy who figures out that the other guy is going to fold.
Right, it's the person who sees the lead most of the time.
And that's not, for everyone listening out there, that's not saying that you should call me, because if you do call me, I'll most likely have it. The biggest thing is you can make a lot of mistakes in no limit hold'em tournaments, and one of the biggest mistakes is putting some guy on a certain hand and being wrong about what he's going to do when you do something. So you put some guy on the 9s or 10s or jacks, and you say he's weak. I can push over the top of him with my ace 10, but then he surprises you by calling for the rest of his chips and saying, "You have aces?"
I hate that. Yeah. No.
And it's like you made a good play against the wrong player. Right. Well, that's a bad play.
Right,
it's
a bad play, exactly.
So you guys had something you wanted to discuss that you were discussing before we came on the air, Dutch. That you said you were going to save it for when we were on the air, about small pot poker and what we talk a lot about on the show. You guys said you had some adjustments to this and something you wanted to discuss. So,
well, I actually was more interested in what Dutch had to say. The point that I was making, we were always talking about, keeping pot small and doing different things, and I noticed I'd been reading a couple times. People had been making comments about, when people had pocket aces or pocket kings and they were playing pre-flop. But my feeling was always that if I have pocket aces and I can get you all in before the flop, that's a good move. I always feel like that is something I want to do. If I have a huge hand and I feel like I can get you in, then I've done something correct. But then Dutch had a couple points, but he kind of didn't share, so I'm curious to hear what they are.
Okay, I've thought a lot about this. Mm-hmm. A few years ago, me and Fishman made a prop bet, because we were talking about this concept that I'd come up with back in 2003, right before my breakout in the main event, called the perfect path. The idea is that you can win any poker, like any no-limit poker tournament, any poker tournament, by just following some sort of perfect path and never making a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And I, like the way I like to think about it is, suppose you had Jesus Christ himself coming back, and he's like, okay, everybody, I'm back. And he comes back right at the main event of the World Series of Poker and signs up. So here you are, you're playing with God, basically. But it's not really God, because he doesn't know certain things. He doesn't know what's going to happen after the flop, and he doesn't know what your hold cards are unless you look at them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But he is so good at poker, so just great at poker, that he knows he knows two things, basically. He knows what everybody has exactly when they look at their cards,
mm-hmm.
and he knows what they're going to do. Now, a player like that, if he's dealt pocket aces at the very first hand of the main event, and everybody folds to some guy who pushes all in, I would say a player like that should fold his aces, and that's the perfect path. Now, I'm not saying I would ever fold aces in a tournament.
But I'm assuming you're basing that on you shouldn't take a chance that big that early for all of your chips.
A 15% chance is a pretty big chance,
right? Exactly.
Especially if you have a better than 85% chance of getting a $10,000 stack up to $20,000.
Right.
And so if your odds of going from $10,000 to $20,000 are better than 85%, then you're better off folding your pocket aces.
Right. I guess I could kind of understand what you're saying in terms of, if you had that perfect path, if you knew that you were going to be able to do it, I'm like you, you're still never going to fold pocket aces because you don't know that you could do it. You don't know what's going to happen later, and you don't know how people are going to react. But yeah, in a perfect world, I've heard that if the field is so weak, it's kind of analogous to saying the field is so weak that there's no way that they can stop you over time.
I think it's more up to that point. I think it's more saying that your game is so strong.
Or that your game is so strong.
It's foolish for anybody to think that their game is that strong, where they should get away from pocket aces pre-flop to an all-in bet. But it was interesting because Fishman and I made this bet, and I thought that I was taking way the better of it. We said that we would find 10 pros, and we define pros as like anybody who's ever won a bracelet or won a WPT.
Mm-hmm.
We'd find 10 of them, and we'd ask them the same question. We didn't even go aces. We went ace king, right?
Mm-hmm.
The question was, it's day one of the World Series of Poker, and everyone folds to the small blind. You're in the big blind with ace king, and the small blind pushes all of his chips in. And as he's pushing him in, he accidentally flips over his cards with his pinky, right? And he shows queen jack. Do you call? And I was so sure that everybody was going to say call.
Yeah.
You're taking, there are so few times in poker where you have the edge. That's what makes it so hard. I mean, here's a situation where you have the edge.
I wouldn't call.
Yeah, I agree with ace king. I don't think I would call in that spot. Aces is different. Ace, if any queen jack, it's so easy, like you said before, to miss the flop. It's just so easy.
At the time, I was all about calling. Now I'm not so sure. But here's the thing: if you're not going to call with ace king in that spot, how good of a hand do you have to have? How big of an edge do you have to have? If you're not going to call with ace king, are you going to call with? Are you going to call with kings? Are you going to call with jacks?
And that's I'm going to call with queens, kings, or aces. There, I'm probably not going to call with jacks just because it's the first hand, and especially nowadays where the field's so weak. It isn't that hard to accumulate chips without risking your entire tournament. It's very, very simple to keep pots small, grind away, and build up. I have the chip lead every tournament.
Right.
At least at one point.
Yeah, it's funny. Actually, I agree with Gavin, to a certain degree. When I first started out, and everyone knows my game is very raw, and I haven't been playing that long, I was always in such a rush to build up chips that I would have called with that ace king. I was just like, God, it's almost like an adrenaline issue where you feel like, I got to get out there, I got to try to win it. And now I realize that the first couple of levels really don't mean shit. It's not going to affect you.
Let me ask you this then, Gavin. Your answer would probably change then if you had doubled up the hand before, so you had 20,000 and you had 10,000.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, that's completely different.
If I had already doubled up and all it was going to do is take me back to 10, then I would for sure call 100%.
Your basic worry there is getting busted.
I don't want to get eliminated. The value of doubling up is less than the cost of busting out.
Right.
I thought one thing that was really interesting is when we were going around asking these pros what they would do, is TJ Cloutier said, first day, first hand, of course you call them. Because if you get knocked out, then you can just go have a beer and not worry about it.
Hey, let me ask you this, Dutch. If you go out there today, or this year, there's going to be 8,000 people, right? Some guy shows, the same scenario plays out, and you say, I'm going to call him, right? and you call them and you beat them. So now you've got 20,000 in the second hand of the World Series. How much better is your chance of winning the World Series than it was if you had 10,000 at that point?
Not much better.
It's very small.
I mean, a lot of people are going to say it's double. I'm not one of those people.
Not even
I
close
think it's
to double.
like maybe
It might be like a 0.5%.
I don't even think it's anywhere near a 0.5%.
I mean, it's so small. Yet getting knocked out,
Right.
you're out of it. You've got no shot.
I agree with
I mean,
you. I don't think
that's
it has
why
much
I think it's a horribly bad play to make a call there.
But would your answer change if it wasn't the main event? Suppose you're playing tomorrow's 2,000 no limit.
Yeah, I would change there just because in the smaller events where you start with no chips, it is so valuable to double up and to get chips together in terms of muscle in the crowd and getting a lot of chips together. But in the main event, when you've already got 10,000, you just don't need to do it that badly.
Cool.
All right.
Agreed.
Fascinating stuff, guys. Well, I don't think we can go through an interview with Dutch without asking a little bit about the crew. Scott Fishman's been on the show before. He says it's still intact somewhat.
Do we have time?
We have a little bit of time.
I mean, I've got all night, so...
Scott said it was still intact. You guys still talk about poker. There's still a crew out there, and I also heard something about a reality show. If you could just chime in on that real quick.
Actually, we started production on a reality show a couple of weeks ago. The production is kind of paused a little bit, due mainly to my recent breakup. You know what? I do this all the time too, and it's a very bad idea to ever mix a relationship with business. If anybody out there, I mean, is in a current business with someone that they are screwing, get out of it. Either quit or fire the girl, because it's not going to end pretty, and I will promise you that.
In fact, if anybody out there is in a relationship, get out, man.
Get out of it now.
It's not going to end pretty.
Yeah, it's true. I don't think any relationship ends well. I mean, every single relationship ends, and every single relationship usually ends badly.
Amen, brother. Amen.
So,
But,
crew, is there? So, you guys are all, who's included 100%. In this crew now?
Yeah, we even have a few new members. I mean, this time last year we had 7. I guess 6 if you count Brett walking out. But Brett and I have kind of mended fences. We, for a long time there was a big rift there, and it was rough because, we were both very, very close. And now we've come to an understanding, so we're fine. So Brett's, I guess not officially, but he's back in. And then we also have Scott Fishman, Joe Bartholdi, who is probably best known for his 2003 World Series of Poker appearance on ESPN, where he looks at the camera and says, "Who is Dutch Boyd?"
Yeah, he hasn't done shit.
He's done nothing yet.
Yeah, Bartholdi. Yeah, it's totally rocks. It's 3.7. I love it. Let's see, who else? Tony Lazar, who is he's been around for quite a while. Him and Scott Fishman were really good friends, and then when Scott came in, Tony came in as well. And my little brother Bobby, who is the reigning Rochambeau champion of the world. And Deerdorf, David Smythe, he can be found most every day playing the 2-4 limit games on Ultimate Bet. And then since then, we have expanded the crew a little bit. We've added Topher Duty, Josh Schlein, who is S-Double online.
Yeah, friend of the circuit.
Friend of the circuit, friend of the crew. Josh is actually a funny story. He came out to L.A. in 2003, right when we were getting on ESPN and whatnot. But before they did their little segment on the crew, this is before Fishman. He comes out and he was kind of blowing up like the news groups and RGP and all that, saying that he was my little brother, right? Yeah. And he's like, "I'm coming out to LA. I'm gonna meet you guys." I'm like, okay, yeah. And so he just flies out, and he's like, "Okay, I'm here." And we're like, "Okay, what's up, dude?"
Yeah, what do you want?
He's like, I want to be in the crew. And I'm like, "Dude, you're 18 years old. You can't be in the crew." And that's not how it works anyway. That's right. You can't be in the crew until. I mean, I guess all of us started underage, but we're not supposed to say that.
So he's earned acceptance now, though.
Yeah, I mean, since he turned 21, he's
earned acceptance and a legal identification.
I would like to know.
He can have a beer.
I would like to know if there's any copyright infringements in Danneman's group calling themselves the New Cut Crew.
Wants to check into that.
I think that's kind of a funny name, the New Cut Crew.
What is that? Just the name of their home game. Yeah, I don't know what it means. Okay.
I'm going to look into that, actually, because I would really like to sue him.
I say we sanction the crew. We say the circuit sponsors.
He won enough that he could probably cover your poker spot debt.
Good luck with that. All right. Well, Dutch, thanks a lot for coming by. We appreciate it. Look forward to having you on the show
thanks
again.
a lot, Scott. Thanks, Joe.
Absolutely, Dutch.
Thanks, Caveman.
Booga, booga. Dutch Boyd, everybody.
And hopefully I'll be talking to you guys soon.
Later,
right.
Go.
This is Howard Lederer, and if you have nothing better to do, you might as well listen to The Circuit.
Welcome back to The Circuit, everyone. Scott Huff and Joe Sebok here. Fascinating stuff there with Dutch Boyd.
Yeah, it is. You know, I don't know. I mean, I think Dutch is a good guy. I know a lot of people are really pissed at him and the situation, but what I chalk it up to is the fact that he was 20 years old, 21, whatever it was, and he got into something a little over his head. And, you know, I think he's trying to deal with it. I mean, maybe he hasn't dealt with it the best way that he could have, you know, in the past. But I don't think he's a bad guy from, you know, the interactions that I've had with him. And hopefully, you know, he'll be able to sew up some of this stuff and move beyond it, you know.
That was kind of like your Jerry Springer's final word right there. Now, we know that Naked Poker is on board. NakedPoker.com is on board with the show. And some of the things that they're going to let you do, apparently, you may be able to play football with your favorite NFL quarterback, try to hit a fastball from your favorite Major League Baseball pitcher. You can go to a movie premiere with your favorite actor or actress, and they're actually going to allow people on their site tell them what kind of prizes they want to win and see available in the future. Wow. So you get this and the traditional bonuses, prizes, and you know, things that you would expect from online poker, plus all this other cool stuff. So playing naked is obviously the only way to play.
Well, I'm excited, and I mean, as you can see, I've already taken off my pants here in the studio.
You're wearing the robe again, right? So you're really taking into this whole naked poker thing.
I'm into the robe. I feel like, and I know people can't see it at home, but I feel like it galvanizes the team here at Team Circuit. You know, the robe has become a symbol for what we're trying to be, and it's a beautiful thing.
All right, we'd like to thank our guest tonight, Dutch Boyd. More Circuit tomorrow from the Bellagio in Las Vegas, Nevada. Good night, everybody.
Take it easy.